This is In Touch with Terry, a power-packed podcast for the medical aesthetics industry.
I just discovered your podcast, and I feel like I've hit a gold mine.
This is someone who's got a lot of knowledge. She's been there, done that.
Terry Ross is a former Fortune 500 executive, international speaker, founder and co-CEO of Apex Platform, and Terry Ross Consulting.
Just listening to her energy and her passion and just how hardcore she is.
Her knowledge of the industry and just her connections in general are phenomenal.
In Touch with Terry will bring you solutions to increase operational and employee efficiency and practice profitability. Plus, features some of the top industry experts as guests.
The Apex team literally changed the game for us.
Terry, your courses and your podcast are just so helpful.
She made me feel like I could do this.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Now, here's Terry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to In Touch with Terry. I am so excited to be here, and I always want to thank you so much for listening and for subscribing. This is a bonus podcast today, and we want to come at you really strong with something that we feel is going to be making a tremendous impact in the market. I am here with my one and only senior consultant, Robbie Grayson. Hey, Robbie.
Hey, Terry, and I am as excited as you are to be here because we're talking about what I love doing the most and what it's really very exciting that we're adding it to the Apex platform.
All right, guys. So listen, this podcast is for anyone who is considering starting a medical aesthetic practice. That can be a medical spa, that can be a plastic surgery practice. There are so many people. Robbie and I pretty much travel the country. We speak at all of the AmSpa conferences. And what do we know? We know that over 50% of the attendees that attend AmSpa are in this phase of considering a transition in your life, leaving the hospital setting, leaving your current practice if you're a dentist or a family practice or OB-GYN or whatever it is, and that this medical spa industry is growing at exponential rates. What else do we know? We know that as consultants, we've been working with practices for over 15 to 20 years. Robbie will get into it. I'm going to ask her some very detailed questions, but we've established over 100 new medical aesthetic practices across the country. And guys, why do we say this? Not to pat ourselves on the back, but what we know as consultants that we have helped hundreds of thousands of people across the country, really helping them to launch, grow, and scale. And more importantly, save time, save money, and not make costly mistakes. What do we also know? That there are very few people in this space that have the expertise, that have the skill, that have the practical, tactical experience that we have. So this podcast is for, again, anyone who's considering starting a medical aesthetic space who is asking themselves the following questions. Can I do this? What is my concept? How am I going to get a bank loan? What are perhaps the startup costs required? How am I even going to know what that is? Is my concept feasible? Where do I want to have my medical aesthetic practice? What services am I going to offer? How am I going to price them? Are they going to be profitable? How am I going to write a business plan? Who's going to develop my pro forma based on the services? What is the landscape of my market? I could go on and on and on, and I'm going to let Robbie get into it a little bit more. But if any of those few things just resonated with you and you're like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. I'm speaking to you. We are here speaking to you because what we did at Terry Ross Consulting, which is now Apex Platform, is we have developed something that I think is going to take over this market. And it's how to start your own medical aesthetic practice. It's a 6-month incubator that will be run by Robbie. There's no one better than her. Again, ask our clients how they feel about working with us. But we are thrilled because this is a hybrid online program working directly with her. So I'm going to drop the mic a little bit. I'm going to turn it over to Robbie. And Robbie, thank you so much. You and I go way back as friends. I respect and admire your work, even when I had Lasky Aesthetics. And you are truly just the godmother of this industry when it comes to development. So Robbie, from your perspective and how many you've built across the country, what are some of the mistakes that people considering starting a medical aesthetic practice do?
Oh my goodness. So let's talk about a little bit about just the phases. And as I go through, I'm just going to point out mistakes. We've had people come to us where they've already started the process, for example, and before they know what their service offerings are, what their concept is, all of those things, what their market feasibility is, how fast are they going to grow. Forecasting is not even a thought. They've already gone out and are looking at 3 to 3,500, and sometimes even we've seen people come in with 6,000 square feet. So they're committing themselves to a financial disaster when you're signing a lease and you're paying money that you don't need to be spending. That's one of the sort of more common things. But when we develop a practice, the very first thing we do is all of that feasibility, the forecast. How am I going to take what I want to do, the vision in my mind's eye, convert it into numbers to forecast, looking at my demographics versus my competitors, and how do I do that forecast? I think that's also another mistake that people make. I see forecasts that I roll my eyes. I don't even know what to say. It's like, oh, well, I think I'm going to see this many people the first month and that many. Our forecasting, and anyone's forecasting, is very scientific. It is literally based on demographics, competitors, and then your startup and doing everything right. When you do it right from the beginning, you're busier faster. So it all pays off that way. But knowing how to forecast and how you came up with your forecast so that you can speak to the underwriter when you're trying to get a loan. You know, I've had many conversations with the banks. The underwriter calls me and they want to know how I came up with that number. And I can very clearly tell them. So that is one of the issues that I think mistakes is either forecasting too high, having this blue sky expectation of what you're going to do. We want real numbers. We want people to open and know what to expect, know how much working capital they need. I would say that's another mistake that happens is that people do not take into consideration that they're not going to more than likely cash flow the first couple months. So they have to have cash set aside. So not having enough capital, I think even the SBA, that's one of the things they say. So how do I know how much capital I need? Again, it's getting that information. So then after we get through that phase of development, because you have to do that first, your market feasibility, build a pro forma, which then you're going to build your business plan, that those two go hand in hand. So now you're going to the bank and you're getting your loan. That's another area where people sometimes, not that there's anything wrong with leasing, but let's look at the difference between a 5-year lease or a 10-year loan when we're talking about cash flow, for example. From there, going into construction and design, build, working with architects, general contractors, and then beyond that, all of the other business-related areas of opening your own practice that include HR, recruitment, purchasing, getting quotes on all of your devices, onboarding and training your team, all the things that we're already doing in Apex. So now we're adding this component, and it's really exciting because I am 100% convinced, and not that when you and I would do a development for someone, when we would go in and do all the work, they were getting everything that we're going to teach. However, when you do it, when you understand how you built a forecast and how many people are in your target market and what you can expect, and you have a nice little cushy cash flow area, by doing it yourself, you understand it so much more than if I do it for you. And then when the doors open, there's this, how did you come up with my forecast? What are my goals? How do I work with my team? So that's what's been really, really exciting for us in our first foray into this with the people that we have involved right now. So it's really cool. That's just a little bit of all of it.
Thank you, Robbie. That was beautifully said and so eloquent. And for our tribe and everyone that has been our fans and our followers, we are, again, so humbly grateful. Everything we do at this company, both when it was Terry Ross Consulting and now at Apex Platform, which is why we developed Apex Platform in the first place, was to our mission, our sole mission is to help as many aesthetic practices as we possibly can, to help as many people that have a desire and a want to get into this space and to help them save time, save money, and avoid costly mistakes. That is our only sole intention. And every time we do a podcast or a blog or work with clients, it's because our team has been in the trenches on every level, from Fortune 500 to owning places to selling them to private equity. And Robbie really articulated just a few of the mistakes that we've seen. And I'm just going to kind of be really candid, because that's what we're all about. Is people have come to us many times, and Robbie said it. They got 5,000 square feet, but yet they have no idea what services they want to even offer. And then the ones that they might tell us they want to offer aren't the ones that make any money. Or they went out and they got sold a bill of goods by these companies that are like, hey, buy all this equipment, and it's the last, quarter of the last month, and you're going to get this deal. You guys, that's just bullshit. I come from Fortune 500, so I can say that. Please don't get sucked up into those things, those shiny external things, until you have the baseline. Robbie always uses this analogy, and I love it so much. What is the foundation of your home? What is the foundation of your house? You can't build the house, right? You can't build the house without that foundation, and the rest of the stuff will come. And so what she was talking about your concept, we never want to eliminate anyone's dreams. We want you to have your dreams, but we also are going to be there for you to make sure that your dreams and your concept make sense, and that you have the right amount of money and cash reserves in the bank, that you have the right amount of funding. And that's the other thing too. We'll ask people, do you plan to self-fund or go to the bank and get a loan? They may say either one. And then we ask them, what do they think it's going to cost? Some people say $200,000. And guys, Robbie said it, it's heartbreaking, candidly, to us. So again, this podcast is really for you, to let you guys know that, and I'll ask Robbie a few more questions, that we have really started this program, How to Start Your Own Medical Aesthetic Practice. It's a 6-month incubator, and we have 4 clients in it right now. Robbie, what week are we in? 10 or 11? What are we in right now?
We're in 11. Yep.
We're in 11. And I want you guys to understand, why did we even start this program? Robbie, what has been the experience that you have faced as the leader, as the coach, as the somebody leading this division? And then let's first start about, what is the program? What is it and what's involved in it?
I've taken the development process and I've actually divided it into 5 stages. And that first stage is market assessment, creating your unique value and your concept proposition and your concept, making sure that we need that information so that we know what your startup costs are going to be, how to forecast for you. So literally building the feasibility, the pro forma, putting together all of your startup costs. And then the next thing we do after that is we go into building the business plan, because we need all that information that we've put together to go into the business plan. And the participants are doing that work. They're doing the work that typically I do, but I'm teaching them how to do it and how to get that information. And so it feels so good when people say to me, what you've already taught me was worth $250,000. I just heard that from somebody the other day that I was working with. But by the same token, it feels really good when they send their forecast to me and I look at it and they've told me why. So I think we're really conveying the information to them in the proper way as well. That's just one part of it. But then after the business plan, we go into stages 3 and 4, which are getting your loan, talking to a commercial broker. Have you ever leased a space before? What goes into that? What do you need to be careful of? What do you need to look for? What can you and can you not do in a lease? Just managing those expectations. And then from there, getting that loan. And then beyond that, once I have found my location, I've acquired a loan, I'm ready to move forward. How do I work with an architect? I mean, a lot of people have maybe never built a home or built a business. And it's certainly a lot different when you're doing commercial building, permitting, all of that, finding that general contractor. So there are just so many bits and pieces that I don't think people really think about when they're, it's the big picture, it's the end game, and that's normal. That's what excites you. But there's a lot of things that happen in particularly the construction phase that can cause a lot of pain, can cost a lot of money. And then, of course, the last phase is where we go into the actual implementation and the opening of the practice. Everything from recruiting our team, putting together all of our SOPs and our operations, how we're going to manage our finances, setting up our accounting and our chart of accounts, all of that. Communicating what are our goals and how we're going to communicate that to our team. And then last of all, I'm ready to open, but we've got a couple weeks before that when we've really got to make this team understand what our vision is. When I say our, I feel like every one of these practices have a little bit of me in them. So what is our vision? And how am I going to get a team that gets that and communicates it so that I can be successful? So, I mean, and there's a lot more, but that's kind of big picture. And it's been, like I said, for me, incredibly satisfying when I have, because there's also some one-on-one time with the participants in the program. And it's just been, I'm really proud of what we've done, and I'm really, really proud of the folks that we've got in the program. It's a great thing.
Thank you so much. And, you can feel it just from your humble heart. And when you talk about testimonials that you get and people say, saying the things that you've saved me $250,000, or even just the investment of what this is and the savings that the clients would get working with us. But there is a bit of you in these practices. And, we've done this again, as Robbie just shared, for the 2.5 years we've worked together, and in her prior career, she has done this for many, many years. And that is what is satisfying and rewarding, when people think that they can try to do it on their own. And look, guys, I'm not saying anything that you don't know. Please, if you are trying to buy a business plan on the internet, it's a mistake. If you're, trying to talk to some other people in the space, really understand their credentials. Like, what have they done? Have they opened? Do they come from medical aesthetics or plastic surgery? Have they trained? Have they sold anything? There are a lot of dynamics that come into starting this practice. And as Robbie just kind of shared, how do I go about getting a contractor or an architect? And what about when, you can't get the what do you call it when you're trying to build your place, Robbie, from the city? The city permits.
The permitting. That's another issue, the permitting. And you think I'm going to open in 3 months, and oh my gosh, it's 6 months, and I don't have enough cash. I didn't realize. So we've really got to plan for all those things that are out of our control, really.
Yeah. And again, guys, I want to kind of recap this 6-month incubator program. It's designed for you. As Robbie said, our intention also, aside from our mission of wanting to help as many people in the aesthetic space as we can, whether you are a startup or you're in business for 20 or 30 years and need to scale, we know, and we've studied because we've been in this space for so long, that we say on stage, there's no MBA school to running a practice. The industry as a whole, it's a systemic problem. It lacks the knowledge, and it lacks the training, and it lacks the courses. It lacks on-demand learning. You can go ahead and hire us. Look, we compete with ourselves. You can hire a consultant, and then that's probably much more expensive than what we're doing with Apex. And then that's not a sustainable thing, because when the consultant's gone, things go back to normal. So we've developed Apex platform with you in mind, again, to fill this void, to disrupt the space, but more importantly, give you a hybrid model where you're getting expert coaches and teams, but you're getting a platform that does these things for you. And I loved what Robbie said. She said the why, that now that she's teaching this program, look, you're right, all day long, she can do it. We can do it for you. But the why behind this is so important, right? Why do you want to do it, right? How are you going to be successful? Because the whole Simon Sinek, your why is everything, and the passion that she shares for it. And I've never seen anybody work as hard as her. I love you dearly. And she's just such an instrumental asset to this company and to all of you. But I want to kind of recap, what Robbie mentioned in terms of the 5 stages. So she's designed this so that, if you guys, are struggling at all, you are feeling any of the frustrations that we've talked about, we have taken all of our knowledge and all of our experience, and we've simplified it into a process that gives you the exact blueprint, guys, the exact training in what Robbie just shared. And how do I do my business plan? How do I do my pro forma? How do I get my goals? How do I know what services to get? Which ones are profitable? How do I hire? I mean, we could go on, and shit, I'm overwhelmed just talking about it myself, for God's sake. Right? let alone you guys feeling like, oh my God, we just came back from Robbie and I from Atlanta. We did a 90-minute workshop, and there were probably a good 25 to 30% of the people in that room. And Robbie was talking about revenue per hour. It's one of the things we talk about a lot. And some of these things might seem silly to us, but they're so profound in the space in terms of how you guys are successful. So Robbie, I'm going to recap and make sure I'm on the same page as you in terms of the phases that are part of this 6-month program. And then you get Apex for 18 months. But stage 1, you mentioned vision, mission, feasibility, startup cost, and performa. Yes?
That's
okay.
100%. Yep.
Okay. Stage 2, business plan and your loan procurement. Stage 3, your site selection, working with a broker, your lease negotiation, the review of your lease, which, by the way, she does for you to make sure that it is sound. The design build, the role of your architect, your contractor, the build out timeline, and then 5, implementation. And that is from everything, again, from your pre-planning, your systems, your structure, your communication, your operations, legal, training, till the time you guys open the doors, every single thing. So this program, like I said, is really designed for you. And yay, we're kicking off our next program. So tell us a little bit about that next program.
So at the time of this recording, we will be launching our next program on June the 6th. However, we'll be continuing to roll out new start dates. Think about this as if you're going to university and going through a class. You will go through the whole program with the same group of people. Every Monday we meet. We have a live class, and then on the platform, there are lessons and tools and assets that the participants use to do the work, right? And then in addition, we have so many hours of just one-on-one time when I'm looking over things. So I like to compare it to if you've ever taken not a virtual course, not a pre-recorded course, but a course that you're actually, you have an instructor and you have somebody to go to. So we just don't say, here, read it, or like you mentioned, downloading the business plan. It is we are supporting you both live and with lessons and some one-on-one time as well through the process. So I'm starting one on June 6th, but we're going to be doing these periodically through the year.
Oh my God. Okay. If you guys aren't super pumped up, I'm ready to join myself just because I constantly learn as much, as we do this. I learn from the program. I learn from her. I learn from talking to people. So you guys, thank you so much for this amazing guest that we have. Again, my ride or die, Robbie, thank you so much. If any of this resonated with you, I'm going to repeat it back. If this is you listening and you have a desire, you have went to AmSpa, you've listened to Berta Dotto talk about compliance and legal, and you're like, oh my God, I get it. You bring a binder home, you have all this information, and you're like, okay, shit, now what do I do? What do I do? Who do I go to? You have to ask, you guys, please, I'm asking you. I say this, my little girl wanted to do taekwondo. I don't know how to do taekwondo, right? I'm going to go get her the best badass instructor as I possibly can. If your child needed a tutor, we go get experts. Please, don't let this pass you by. If this is you and you are 150% committed to starting a medical aesthetic practice, you have the goal, the means, the desire, the want, the need, the passion, the whatever it is that moves you, that drives you, and that you are investing money to go to these conferences to learn, and you want to do this and you're fully committed. I promise you, don't take it from us. You can go to our Terry Ross Consulting Instagram. You can go to our YouTube channel. You can talk. You can see our client case studies, working with us on this project to help you guys, again, save time, save money, avoid mistakes, and open up a practice with the right concept, with the right equipment and services and price and team and building and design and all of the things that you need and forecast, so that, as Robbie said, that you are running, that you have the capital, that you have the means, that you have what it takes to run a successful, profitable, sustainable practice. Then I truly invite you. I invite you to inquire about this program. I know at the time, again, of this recording, we're talking about a June 6th program. I think we literally only have 5 spots left. We're taking 10. We have 5 left. So if you're listening to this, again, please go to apexplatform.com. Everything will be in the show notes. And we would love and be so honored to work with you. Robbie, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure having you on this. And thank you for what you're contributing to the industry as a whole. It's making a huge impact. And I'm just grateful for you. And I hope everybody else is too. So thank you for being here with me.
Thank you. Yes, I'm tickled pink and passionate about what we're doing, and looking forward to the next class. Let's do this.
Let's do this. All right. Awesome, guys. Well, again, if you love this podcast, if somebody else could benefit from hearing this, please don't hesitate to share it and go ahead and send us a like or leave us a comment below. Your feedback is always so helpful for us to continue to provide you with the highest level of education and information. And thank you so much. Again, if this resonated with you, please find us at apexplatform.com. And I can't wait to see you guys on the next episode of In Touch with Terry. Ciao.
Thanks for listening to In Touch with Terry. We invite you to schedule a discovery call with our Apex team. The link to apexplatform.com can be found in the show notes. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of In Touch with Terry.